England enter Visakhapatnam with a 1-0 lead. No one saw that coming, but can they build on it further? What changes can we expect? Steve Armisen joins us to build up to the English perspective of this second test of this five-match series. Thank you for your time, Steve. This is not rare territory for England because since 2012, they have never lost the opening test of a series in Asia. The only difference is in the past, when they've done it in India, India have rebounded. How do you expect England to not let slip a lead this time?
It's going to be tough. It was going to be tough before the first test in Hyderabad, but I think they showed and they proved that this is a resolute England team. They've got loads of resilience, and even if they have a bad day, they can come back strong the next day or the next session. So I've got no doubt that England will be ready, prepared, and they'll pick the right team to go and face India, who will be licking their wounds a little bit. I think there's a lot of pressure on India now going into this series. I still make them favourites. I think with Vizag's a red soil pitch, and I think the stats tell you that it's seam bowlers are in the game. So I imagine Anderson will come into the equation for England. But I think all in all, I think everybody needs to breathe after what was a pulsating test match in Hyderabad, and can't wait to go again. But I think when India come to it, if they haven't changed their plans and mindsets with the ball against this new revolutionised Bazball that England come with, then England stand even better chance.
Do you expect the pitches to turn even more now that India are trailing in the series?
They did last time. We won in Ahmedabad. Joe Root got an unbelievable 100. Then Virat Kohli came and criticised the groundsman, and we played on the beach for the next 3 test matches. So look, I think it was a great pitch in Hyderabad. It really was. I think India were well ahead of the game and should have been out of sight with some of the dismissals that they had. So India will be kicking themselves that they didn't win that first test match because they had quite a few chances. But what they've got to realise is they're playing against a resilient bunch, a bunch that aren't going to lie down and are going to keep coming back at you time after time after time. So if they go onto turning pitches, England will adjust and plan accordingly for that. If they play on good pitches, belting pitches, then England will come at them again. The one thing that this England team is, no matter what surface you play on, McCullum and Stokes will believe from any given situation they can win. And that, for me, as an Englishman, I'm so proud of this group, especially after the first test match, and I can't wait for the second test match to start. I'm sure the bowlers can't. I'm sure the bowlers will want their feet up because they've put a lot of shift in. But I think once the first day of the first test in Vizag comes around, if India aren't on it, England will be ready to capitalise again.
England's bowling combination, it was starting to come under severe scrutiny halfway through the Hyderabad test as they went about leaking those runs in the first innings. But where do we stand now? Is it vindicated by the result and how they performed in the second innings, or is there still a need to address whatever shortcomings you saw in the first half of that game?
I think you look at the whole package and got to put into context and remember who was bowling. I think Joe Root had bowled more balls in Test match cricket than Rian Ahmed and Tom Hartley had bowled in first-class cricket combined. So, and there's going to be nerves. It's hard to criticise. I've never criticised Hartley and Rian Ahmed and Bashir if he gets a game, just simply because you're playing in India, you're playing against the best team in the world in their own back garden, and you're young and you're raw and you're naive. So I think it was so refreshing to see the way Hartley bowled, and even Rian Ahmed at the end, he was still tossing it up. He was still had the bounce. He fielded like a demon. So I think England will still have the same concerns that we probably aren't as good or as experienced as the Indian spin bowling attack. But you know what? As a team, we stick together, and as a team, we're hard to beat. And I think from the first Test match, I look back and think India were more of a team of 11 individuals, and they took on Team England. And I think you can look at the spin combinations, you can look at whatever combinations you want from bowling point of view. You take on the whole cricket team when you play against England now. And I think that is something that India have got to combat.
So quick selection call for you then. Would you want to go with two seamers and two spinners plus Joe Root? Or do you still stick with one seamer? And who are your seamers/seamers of choice?
I think if Mark Wood pulls up fine and he's ready to go on Friday morning, on the first morning, then I'd stick with Mark Wood because I still think you need pace through the air. Even though he didn't get a wicket, I still think he was challenging, and Ben utilised him at the right time. Jimmy Anderson for me has to play, especially with the history. I think there's a little bit more in it for the seamers at Vizag, so it'll be probably depending on how Jack Leach is. It'll be either Jack Leach or Rian Ahmed who misses out, but I suspect that they'll do everything they possibly can to get Jack Leach on the pitch because he was on one leg and he still bowled the way Jack Leach can bowl. So for me, I think I would make one change to the bowling attack. Now they're just one up. It depends on how people pull up, but I would say Anderson for one of the spinners, and likely, I think unfortunately for Rian Ahmed, it might just be the young lad that misses out.